Now, they're short of medicine, have no electricity and only very basic latrines, which are seeping sewage. Yet thousands who are living in squalor on Syria's border with Turkey have concluded that even those dangers and indignities are preferable to the air assault they've left behind. In their darkest hour, though, it's questionable why these refugees are not getting the international aid they so badly need. Well, our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, joins us now close to the Turkish border with Syria. Alex, what's the latest?
Indeed, Kathy. Well, we're back now on the Turkish side after it has to be said a somewhat elaborate process to get ourselves into northern Syria and back out into southern Turkey, where we now are. Let's have a look on the map at where we've been to today. The Atmi camp is right up in the very far north of Syria, as you see. Indeed, it's so far north that the northern fringe of the camp, the fence, is in fact the fence between Syria and Turkey. Well, now the people there are in an incredible situation, stuck between one hell of a rock and a hard place. The rock being the bombardment and the fighting in the towns and cities of Syria, which they have fled. The hard place being this camp in a bleak area of the country where they are living in the most appalling conditions. Let's have a look. Caught between the horrors of bombardment left behind and the utter squalor of life embraced in this hillside at Atmi. Within sight of Turkey and safety, but also of the airstrikes to the south. And in one tent, this, the pathetic dispensary for 13,000 displaced Syrians. Even a doctor deep in rebel-held territory fears reprisals and doesn't wish to be identified.
Many children here have diarrhea, throat infection and other infectious diseases.
Another letter. What is this? B.
Learning their English letters. One tent, one class, 120 pupils, and no textbooks, for which they're desperate. And one exhausted teacher.
I will not go. This is my country. I will not go. I said that from 3 months. I am here from 3 months. I will not go. Not for Bashar Assad, not for anyone for this world.
For women only, there are a very few stinking shower toilets. Their effluent seeps out over the ground just 30 yards or so from the water point, where the queue never disappears. Thousands of men and boys must urinate and defecate out in the olive groves. In places, the stench here is overpowering. And still they come here. The Diban family this morning from Arad Nasan, 30 miles away. The parents, too frightened to appear on camera, leave their son Bashar to tell the story.
They attacked us with rockets and with MiG fighters dropping bombs, so we couldn't stay.
And so it is that his family got out, and their pathetic pile of belongings, just the latest to arrive in this place. The doctor here says conditions are so bad that some families stay a while, then turn round and go back to the towns under fire because conditions there, in their estimation, are better than they are in this camp. Nearby, the Kafar family from Idlib. Again, mum and dad won't be filmed, leaving Ahmad to explain what life is like when you sleep in this tent. You, your 5 brothers, your 5 sisters, week after week. He blames the government, but also the rebels for not coordinating aid. A woman beseeches us to get her over the border to Turkey to get drugs for her breast cancer. Another family asks us to film their cooking pot. The woman said, Assad's bombed us back to the Middle Ages. But the rebels bear responsibility too for this, and plenty here accuse them of not doing enough to help. One small British charity, Hand in Hand for Syria, is here, doing what they can. But with winter approaching, this is plainly a disaster waiting to become a catastrophe. Helicoptering aid in here would be a picnic, technically. But politically, the international will to do so simply does not exist, leaving these people, more than 13,000 of them, living in filth and shoring up their tents against the coming winter rain and snow. Well, now, whilst we were in that camp in northern Syria, the opportunity arose for us to speak to none other than the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, who is in Barcelona, Mr. Antonio Guterres. So the first thing I did was ask him, how can it be that you have 13,000 people living in these conditions, apparently beyond the reach of any international aid organisations?
Well, there are many different circumstances in which people are trapped by the conflict. What we are doing in permanent contact with the Turkish authorities is to make sure that the Turkish border remains open, and the Turkish authorities have guaranteed that they are increasing the number of places available in the camps close to the border in order to allow more and more people in. And we are extremely interested in knowing exactly the situations that might be occurring where we have no direct control, in order to be able to have a more meaningful dialogue with the Turkish authorities to allow for these people to find safety.
An awful lot of people here are desperate to get into Turkey. They're making that plain to us, and yet they are telling us that the Turkish border is shut for them.
I believe Turkey has not closed the border. Turkey has a huge problem of managing the influx, because they have already 115,000 people in the camps, plus around 70,000 people in other locations, and they are building actively new settlements in order to allow for these people to be properly assisted. They have promised that they wouldn't close the border, and I believe it is so. And it's very important for us to know exactly where these situations occur, in order also, in dialogue with the Turkish authorities, to make sure that we find adequate solutions for those that might be, as you said, trapped in a very difficult situation.
So essentially the UN message to these people is kind of be patient. We know conditions are terrible, but Turkey will make more places available. Is that it?
Not only be patient, but also your information is very useful, and we will be in immediate contact with the Turkish authorities in order to make things happen for people to be allowed to cross the border in the quickest possible way.
There's no proper sanitation here. There's raw sewage flowing through this place. It stinks. And the winter's coming on. This is a humanitarian time bomb, isn't it?
It is dramatic that there is no humanitarian access inside Syria to some of these areas, at least for UN agencies that are not able to operate in those areas. For those that are willing to cross borders, it's not the case for everybody. Some want to remain in their country to be able to go back as soon as conditions allow. But for those willing to cross borders, our appeal is for countries, for Turkey, for other countries, to maintain their borders open, and we will be actively engaging the Turkish authorities about the situation you just referred.
So are you saying, therefore, that the UN will put more pressure on Turkey to find places for these people? I know Turkey's been very generous already, but is that essentially where you now go with this?
I don't think it's a matter of pressure. It's a matter of an open dialogue with the country that, as you have said, has been extremely generous in hosting them, and I believe that Turkey will do its best to be able to respond quickly to the situation you just mentioned.
Antonio Guterres speaking to me earlier from Barcelona. Just before we hand back, I've been asked to point out, perhaps a little immodesty, but you can read my blog on what we found out today, and indeed see a photo gallery, of course, on the website channel4.com/news. Back to you in London.
Alex, never immodest on the Turkey-Syria border. Thank you.